And joining us right now to talk about it all is Frank Luntz, political strategist and pollster. Frank, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us as always. Your takeaway last night, was that a winning speech?
Well, it was certainly a long speech, and I was there in the White House to watch every minute of it. It was an opportunity for the president. There was no sports last night, and so sports fans were probably tuned in. He's going to be hoping for a big rating, people watching him. And it was interesting because he spoke about anarchy and anarchism versus socialism. And that's really the first time that I've heard him try to define Biden with a word and language that's different from what he's been saying in the past. I thought his best line was, how can the Democrat Party lead our country when they spend so much time tearing down our country? Very distinct, very sharp lines. But there were times during the speech when he went too far, as he often does. The idea that he's been the best president for African Americans since Abraham Lincoln. I guess he's forgetting Lyndon Johnson and all the work of the 1960s. Or that this is the most important election that there has ever been in America. And again, I think he's forgetting about Lincoln and forgetting about 1932. That said, he made a very strong case, as did his daughter Ivanka, for all the things that have happened over the last 4 years. I think it was well articulated. I think it was well delivered with the White House as a backdrop. And we can argue over whether or not that is legal. But in terms of show, in terms of content, in terms of language, it demonstrated what the Republican Party is about and why Trump and Biden, there really should not be any undecided voters right now, because there's simply no similarity between the two candidates for president.
But Frank, that's the ultimate question, which is when it goes to the swing states, and you've studied them very, very well, and those, quote unquote, in the middle or on the fence, if they watch the Democratic National Convention or they watch the Republican National Convention, now that they're over, how do you think it does swing? I think it swings. At this point, it's a Biden election. There is no doubt, no matter how much you want to argue about the accuracy of the polls, which Donald Trump does, which I think is a mistake, Biden does emerge as of Labor Day with a very clear 6 or 7 point lead. But, and I say this emphatically, this election is way too close to call. The debates are going to matter. We're going to have record viewership. And among those key swing voters, it's 6% of America. And because there are only 11 states that could go back and forth, that represents 2.4% of the country. We are about to spend billions of dollars on 2.4% of America. Trump did what he needed to do to be back in the race. Biden, a week ago, did what he needed to do to keep the lead as we approach Labor Day. Right. Frank, you know, one of the things that was so unique about the Republican National Convention and last night's speech relative to what we saw with the Democrats was there was an audience. And there was an audience, frankly, without masks. And you could see it. We were just showing images, not to demonstrate that there were so few masks, but for those who are focused on that, it's noticeable. And I wonder how you think that plays across the country. Does that play to the president's advantage? Because there's you look at that and there's a sense of normalcy, which is maybe what he's trying to demonstrate. I don't know if it's right, and we'll see, obviously, in 2 or 3 weeks from now, whether that was a mistake or not. It was outdoors, so hopefully that will temper any type of outbreak if there was anybody there with COVID. But there's others that may look at that and question the responsibility. Well, I was there, and I'll acknowledge that a couple times I felt uncomfortable. For most of the evening, I wore a mask. It was very hot, and it was crowded, particularly after the speech, as everybody rushed to the front, as they rushed to the stage, and as they watched the fireworks. I think that Republicans will look at that and say, that's what I want. Democrats will look and say, that's dangerous. The idea that we have turned wearing masks into a partisan issue, Andrew, shows us just how divided we are. And I'm convinced that after seeing the Democratic convention and the Republican convention, Donald Trump made a strong case for why Joe Biden's policies are
dangerous for the country. Joe Biden made a strong case for why Donald Trump isn't qualified anymore to lead the country. They both did an excellent job at disqualifying the other. I'm not convinced that either did a sufficient job at defending themselves. And that's American politics today, why the other side is wrong and why the other side does not deserve to be president.